Hey, good afternoon, committee members and other parties of interest. The evaluation committee meeting for RPS 25-00209, pavement engineering, subsurface investigation and inspection services will be held in parts by means of communications media technology. Active participation will be for committee members only. Provisions have been made for any member of the public desiring to have access to view the meeting. My name is Sybil Tucker. I am the buyer for this project. For the record, this meeting is being recorded and has been publicly noticed. At this time, I will ask each committee member to introduce themselves for the record, and we'll begin with the committee chair.
Dana Mackey, Committee Chair, Hillsborough County Engineering and Operations Technical Services Division.
Brad Isler, Hillsborough County Technical Services Division.
Kevin Trimble, Pavement Management, Sidewalk Repair, Engineering at TSD.
Development, Engineering and Operations, Stormwater Engineering Services.
Okay, so committee members will evaluate, discuss, and score by consensus the proposals received for this project. Each proposal is to be evaluated based on the information provided in their proposal as it correlates to the requirements and evaluation criteria set forth in the solicitation. The proposals will be scored based on the following criteria. We have criteria 1, the ability of the firm and its professional personnel, for a possibility of 35 points. We have criteria 2, the firm's experience with projects of similar type and size, for a possibility of 35 points. Criteria 3, the firm's willingness and ability to meet schedule and budget requirements, for a possibility of 20 points. And criteria 4, the effect of the firm's recent, current, and projected workload, for a possibility of 10 points. There's also the bonus points consisting of the DMDWB participation, past performance, and volume of work, at which point I will read those out at the end of the meeting after the committee goes through the evaluation criteria. So with that said, the committee, you will come to a consensus. I will record your scores, the consensus score, and then we will, like I said, I will go back over it and give out the bonus points, and then you will come to the total scores at the end. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and turn the meeting over to the committee chair to begin the discussion and evaluation. Thank you.
Okay. First of all, I want to say thank you for each of you for submitting your proposals to the county. Again, each of the proposals that we've gone through have been really great and really good. So we're here to determine, the top 3. So with that, we're gonna do a rotation around and do some discussions as far as the scoring, and we're going to go in alphabetical order. We're going to start with Arden first. Got my notes here. Yeah, we're going to start with Arden and Associates first. Again, there's 4 major areas, criteria that we're going to be scoring. And we'll start with, first one is criteria 1 is the ability of the firm and its professional personnel. We'll start with Brad first.
Okay, so I scored them, Arden, 18. They have a strong, even in-house grasp for the falling weight deflectometer, the GPR, the pavement designs, and their subs are strong on and others, but they're missing some of the minor disciplines. I didn't see any mention of existing bridge pilings, box culverts, seawalls, inspections, and then there was no mention of traffic control. And then in the special inspections section, they didn't really address the pile loads, lead asbestos paints. So that's why I took some points off for that.
Topic one, I gave Ardeman a 28. Similar to what Brad had commented. And also it looked like there was maybe some areas where geotech was more prevalent than the pavement projects. So just looking at that as a area that could have been done differently.
Rhonda?
I scored them a 25. All the services except for CEI and subconsultant services, looks like there's going to be a Jack Tampa. They seem to have a highly experienced staff. There was a mention that CEI would be provided by Campo Engineering. However, the resume for the key personnel describes a permitting number and instead of a CEI and no CEI experience. Also, I cannot find the resumes for KCCS, but did find one for ICC-IMS, so wondering if maybe a sub was switched out there. But 25 is the score that I provided.
Okay, and myself for Ardeman for category 1, I gave him a 29. It was based on the years of experience. There's a lot of experience. The team, the geotech engineer, the some of the others had a lot of wealth of experience. And I can mention about the number, I guess the staff that they've been in business for over 66 years. Anyway, I gave them a 29 on that score. Okay. All right, ready to move on to category 2?
Doing it.
Oh, do we have to do the consensus now? Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and do, what does it come out to? What do you guys want? Because I heard a 29 and 18. I heard a 25 and a 28.
So yeah, I'm fine with bumping it up. They definitely have the necessary disciplines. The main disciplines are in there. So yeah, maybe I went a little too harsh for some of the smaller disciplines. So I'm fine with moving something.
I got one on the low, one that's in the top one. I want to do something between the 22 and 28. Is that middle ground? So
Yeah, I think it was a 25, a 28, and a 29. So we can do something in the middle of that, maybe do the 27 or.
I'd be fine with 27.
27, everybody can agree on 27.
Okay.
The 27 is your consensus?
Mhm.
And then we'll do the second
Yeah,
criteria.
we're ready to, yeah,
Okay.
we'll do the same thing.
Sorry.
Yeah, oh,
Do you want to introduce the?
yeah, I'll introduce the category. That was the next category, firms experience with projects of similar type and size.
So this one again, I went a little bit lower. Of the 5 projects submitted, seemed that only 2 of them were of similar scale and on-call services, whereas the other 3 were single projects and significantly smaller. So I went with 18 again.
so same for, I've got category 2 for Ardeman. I had a 25 and similar to the comment with personnel, but also as Brad mentioned, the projects. So not all of the listed projects were directly correlated to pavement. Some of them were geotech or other besides pavement.
I give them a 29. I thought the example projects were relevant, local and recent, but also had similar findings as to Kevin and Brad as well, but yeah, 29.
Amazing, when I was doing it as well, I was looking at the types of projects that they submitted. And my score came out to a 27, so I know they mentioned, I think, one, maybe, one of similar types to the current contract that it's soliciting for. So anyway, my score was a 27. So we look at scores of 18 again. 18, it was a 25, 29, and 27. So we want to go somewhere in between. Or how do you guys feel strong about your scores?
I think I'm down.
We could flexible.
Mhm.
Okay, so 25. Go in the middle, 27, 26, 27.
Okay, cheers.
27, everybody? Okay, 27.
27 is your consensus?
Okay, the next category. Firms' willingness and ability to meet schedules and budget requirements. Brad,
I went with a 16. It seemed that, I mean, this is gonna be across the board, but everybody has a pretty good understanding of what the projects and requirements are. I didn't see anything that would say superior understanding or superior cost savings or anything, so I went with the good understanding of the scope of services.
So for category 3 for Artemin, I listed an 18, just seemed firm had understanding of the approach. So basically just on the other side of that range. But yeah, I thought they've worked with us in the past. I know that isn't quite a direct impact on things, but I believe they have a good understanding and approach to the schedule.
I went with the 17. They had a good description of how the staff is going to be assigned, communication channels, budget and schedule control. Also provided emphasis on timely response to emergencies. 17.
I pretty much had the same comments about meeting schedule and budget, you know, a lot, understanding the scope, resources, their availability, and they also mentioned about use of agile framework. So I gave them a 17.
Sounds like 17 is.
17, everybody's good with 17? 17.
So 17 is your consensus?
Okay, the next category. These screens, guys. Okay. Affect a firm's recent, current, and projected workload. Brad,
So for this one, I went with a 7. The only thing that in the 8 to 10 range that they didn't have was anything about backup staffing capabilities in case of unforeseen circumstances. So I didn't want to put them into that top category because they didn't really talk about that in their presentation.
I gave them a 9, really just from what they had put down, and then knowing the personnel on that were listed, they've always been responsive in the past for me, so I have that as a little impact for the experience.
I went with a 6 on this one. I couldn't find a description or a graph showing the current workload. Projected workload looks like it's about, only 60% until the contract expires, and then about 50%. So the availability looks good, but anything to point with the 60.
I gave him a score 7. I didn't see much detail as far as I think there was a graph. There wasn't much detail on how they would, backup staff, things like that, but the workload that it was, as 45%, April, May, and June, as an example that he used. So I gave him a 7.
So
Thank you.
those numbers.
So 7,
6, 7.
7, 9.
6, 7, 7, 9,
So
7, 7.
7 is the consensus.
Mhm. All right, so we can move on to the next one. So the next one is Arena. We'll do the same thing, first category. We'll start with Brad.
So for Arena, I went with a 27, which puts them in the top range of that. They have all the necessary disciplines. They mentioned some of the special inspection staffing. The only thing, we did specify that we wanted an inspector with the stormwater erosion and sediment control training certification. That wasn't mentioned, and no, I think they said that they have somebody do it with the asphalt level 1 and 2. But there wasn't a person, it wasn't assigned to a personnel, but other than that, I mean, they basically had every major discipline that we were looking for, so.
So for Arena, on category 1, I had a 34. Personnel, people listed, experience of the people all seem to back that up. So I didn't find many flaws or things that we were planning to use on the contract.
I went with a 30. Services provided with prime and the subs are very clearly laid out in the bullet lists as well as the work chart. It's actually a really nice work chart. And all of the items that were called clues that were provided.
My score, I gave him a 31. I felt like they had a really strong team. And, they listed a lot of their, some of their equipment that they have in-house. They talked a lot about, their TOT approved in certain areas, national accredited, things like that. And how they would be able to support us. So I gave them a 31. And they even talked about, this was one of their staff person has experience with design build and design build, build type projects too. So I give them 31. And
So
we had,
27, 30, 31, and 34 is the range.
so what you guys,
But 30.
30 or 31? 31? Okay, 31.
So 31 is your consensus.
So,
Go ahead.
no,
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 yeah.
good. So, experience with projects of similar size and type. Is it okay to ask if this firm has the current contract?
Yes.
And they do, correct?
Mhm.
Okay, so obviously they kind of nailed it on that first one. But all of the projects that are listed are task order or continuing services contracts, which seems to be what we want. So I scored them a 32.
Similar in comments, but I know that they have the current contract. They do have staff available. They've shown that, and then their experience on, call it for us, work order contracts is in line with what we're looking for.
score is?
34.
Okay.
I went with the 31, similar comments, all the example projects highlight, most of the, all of their requested services in the scope, so.
Okay. And I have similar comments, you know, these are all like task oriented, like a work order, which been listed. I gave them a 33. So,
132, 33, 34.
There you go.
so where do you want to be? Middle, 32, 33?
33.
Guys decide.
You're the chair.
Okay. No, I didn't accept. Okay, we'll go with, because they are currently, you know, doing this type work, we know of, they listed it. We'll go with 33.
Everyone agree with 33?
Yes.
Okay, next category, 3.
Willingness to an ability to mix it. Again, I didn't see anything that showed a superior understanding. I guess they have the current project, or current contract, so they kind of understand what the schedule and budget require. So I went a little higher with an 18.
I have the same 18 for Rainbow on category 3. Just seemed firm had understanding and approach, schedule, budget, then they have the current contract.
All right, I'm also going with an 18. And there's some note they highlighted quick reporting times and equipment control on some of their unique capabilities, as well as value-added services for controlling schedule and budget. The submittal mentions specific project management software that provides real-time visibility into the workload distribution. So, 18,000.
Okay. And I also had similar comments, and my score is an 18. How did we all agree on that?
It's amazing.
They earned that 18.
Yeah, so basically, you know, they talk about the sub-consultant utilization and reporting as well as their own type of reporting system. So, yeah, 18, so that's easy.
18 is a consensus.
Yes. So, next category.
The next category, the recent, current, and projected workload, I gave them a 10. Besides just their staffing, they also indicated their backup staffing capabilities in their reports. So, sorry.
I gave it 10, and similar comments, so they had staffing shown, and they had some staffing shown for criteria when needed, or situations when needed, and that was it.
Okay, Rhonda.
I went just a little bit lower. I went with an 8 on this one. The current workload didn't seem as clear to me as, and maybe it was just on my end, but the, you know, projected workload graphics are known to indicate the firm will be able to perform the services. So we're going with an 8.
Okay, and I have, my score is a 9. I had similar comments pretty much, but I went with a 9 because they have, you know, all key personnel, especially the ones that are the main contacts showing their availability. 85% available. So I went with a 9.
8, 9, 10, 10.
Was it 8, 9, 10, 10? So what do you want to do? 9? Or 10? 9?
9 or 10 is fine.
You guys, I'll say the chair. Chair's gonna appoint.
I'm fine with it.
What do you, everybody do it in 9? Okay, so something else.
Consensus.
Yes. All right, the next environmental and geotechnical specialists, EGS. We'll start with category 1. Brad.
So they, okay, so I went with 29. I didn't see anything that really lacked. They have all of the main criteria, all the main abilities. They got the laboratory, they mentioned the evaluating bridges, bridge filings. I didn't see anything about the erosion and sediment control training and asphalt training. But they did have the MOT, the pile driving. They mentioned some of the special inspections. So I'm at 29.
29, and similar to others, just sort of showing where the disciplines were at for each personnel, and then listed certifications or experience with it.
Okay. Rhonda?
I went with a 25 on this one. They did highlight that MOT, traffic controls and in-house, and they mentioned innovative testing methods for pavement investigations, but didn't really provide, I guess for me, a clear explanation of those methods. And I also wasn't able to find where they had CEI personnel and staff. So for those reasons, I give it a 20, give them a 25.
Okay, I give them a score of 30, and I kind of highlighted that they did mention about the innovative technologies, such as geophysical testing methods. Thought that was, them presenting that. They talked a little bit more in detail about what it is, and then they talked about in-house TTC, being able to do that in-house, already certified, some of their staff. So I gave them 30. So we had
25, 29, 29, and 30.
Twenty-eight.
29.
28 guys. 28.
28 is your consensus?
Yes. Okay, next category.
Firm's experience with the projects of similar size and type. I went with a 32. So all of the projects that they listed are similar size and all continuing services type projects. City, county, DOT, statewide, so it seems like they've got the abilities.
I went with a 25, and my notes were basically some of the statewide or DOT project schedules don't always correlate to a local county agency. And so I thought that wasn't a direct representation, but it was a good representation.
Okay. Ron?
I went with a 22. This seems like a lot of the example projects, or maybe none of the example projects, contain some of the items that were in the scope, for example, the IRA, FWD, and CPI. So for those reasons, I went with 22.
I gave them a 29. And I had some more comments, even though they did have a lot of the DOT type pavement district-wide contracts. And a city one, which was like more local, just like a local government, they had another county. Team services, geotech. So I gave them a 29. So what were the scores?
22, 25, 29, 32.
Guys think?
22 and 32, where are we at? Split at 27.
27? Okay, 27. 27.
27 is your
Yeah.
consensus?
Okay, next category, 30.
So for their willingness and ability to meet schedule and budget requirements, I went with a 16. Again, just nothing superior, nothing really stood out.
Okay, Kevin?
I had a 17, and I was more if you're able to do things to the standard of all of the different agencies, including state level. You must be doing something right, so I was okay with what they submitted there.
What was that, 18? It looks like they perform field drilling and TTC laboratory testing, reporting with internal staff and equipment, and they also provided an emphasis on communication and communication.
I gave them a 16. And basically, I had pretty much similar comments as far as what they were offering, scheduling and cost expectations, so that they be new to Hillsborough County, pretty much understood and had mentioned 80% staff reserved for public development orders. So I gave them a 16.
So 16, 16, 17, 18.
17. I was with that, 17.
17 to consensus.
Okay, next category 4.
Recent, current, and projected workload. I went with a 6. And they, no mention of backup staffing for unforeseen circumstances. And I had a question mark. But yeah, so I went with a 6.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, they just have, all they have is a graph. They don't have any text to go along with their bar graph. So
Okay.
no description of current workload, yes, no description really.
Very similar, so 6, and notes of consultant availability shown. Submittal shows adequate time, but no sub-consultant availability.
Rhonda?
Also went with a 6 for the same reasons that Kevin and Brad had mentioned. Yeah.
Okay, I have a 7. So where did that put?
3 6s and a 7.
So 6.
6.
Yeah.
6 is your
To
consensus.
the yeah. Okay, next consultant, Madrid. Start with category 1. Brad. We put you on the spot.
No, it's totally fine. I just, that's are lacking. Again, they didn't really talk about some of the special inspections and some of the inspections of bridges and culverts and such. And then they mentioned GPR, and I didn't see anything about the full depth reclamation, like who is doing some of this stuff, some of the main work. So I went with a 19.
Kevin?
27 with notes on the testing type, but also staff personnel towards the geotech or listed experience. Kind of reading through the details of each scope, it looked like it leaned more into subsurface, not as much on the pavement design.
Okay. Rhonda?
I went with a 17, as Brad mentioned, there were so many inspection services I wasn't able to find. Arena was listed on the org chart, but I couldn't find a discussion in the narrative. I also couldn't find resumes for the subs, Arena for applied research associates. And it just, I wasn't clear as to what Arena's role was going to be and how they will interact with the project, so I would.
Okay, and I have a score of 29. I'm going back to what I said, they did mention FDR.
They didn't mention it.
Yeah, they mentioned CEI, FDR, payment design for FDOT, airport authorities. And they mentioned, you know, some of the equipment that they have in the house. It looks like, you know, their staff have a lot of years of experience. So I gave them 30.
30.
Mhm. So
That one.
that's a wide
Wide
range.
range.
17, 19, 27, and a 30.
So what do you know, 25?
I'd be okay with going higher if I missed.
27. Yeah, I give them 30, but. Want to go 27, 28? You guys go good with 20?
I mean, yeah, if I missed,
28?
yeah.
You guys good with 28? 28?
Everyone okay with 20?
Sure. So projects of a similar size and type. Of the 5 projects listed, they're all fairly large projects, so as far as size, I would say are comparable, but none of them were continuing services projects. They were all individual roadways or bridges. So they didn't really demonstrate that they had, with those examples, that they had the continuing services grasp. So someone with a little bit lower 18.
At 24, it's really leaning into the bigger DOT type of background on projects. Similar to a comment I made before, I think it was more subsurface and soils, which is a part of this, but didn't really reflect on the pavement design side.
18, as Kevin had mentioned, you know, lots of experience with pavement base testing and evaluation, but couldn't find many examples of pavement design or CBI. So 18, I mean,
I gave them a 27. I kind of concur with some of the comments that have already been said. The bigger isolated type projects, nothing as far as like work order, task order type. Basically, you know, pavement design and things like that. So I gave them that score.
So 18, 18, 24, and 27.
So we want to go in the middle, you want you guys go higher? 24? Maybe 24. 24 is good.
24 is.
Yeah, that's kind of in between. Because it's a big wide range. Okay, next category 3.
Ability to meet schedule and budget requirements, again, went with a 16. Again, just nothing that stood out as a superior understanding.
Okay, Kevin?
17. And want to make sure notes with not mentioning sub-consultants. So it looked like it was only their employees, so it didn't really have a lot of background on if we needed, you know, extra consultants. What was going to be done there?
Rhonda?
I went with the 16. Here, I know they had highlighted in-house testing labs, extensive field equipment, able to accommodate budget negotiations, ability to build non-peak hours, in-house MOT. So for those reasons, gave 16.
I give them a 17. They talk about weekly coordination meetings, client engagement, which is very critical and important. They talk about some innovative technology, CCM. And then they talked about they needed to work non-peak hours or weekends for aggressive schedules, things like that. MOT acceleration, well, MOT be provided to accelerate schedules if needed. They do that in-house. So I gave them a score of 17.
16, 16, 17, 17.
What?
2 16s and 2 17s.
What do you guys? It's split. I said we
I'm
got.
good with 17.
17 is fine.
Okay, 17.
17 is your consensus?
Yeah. Yes. Okay, next category, 4.
So we are on the, the recent current projected workloads. Again, there was just no indication, nothing about, backup staffing or unforeseen circumstances, but I gave them a 7.
Okay.
Gave a 7, and really it was availability could be requested during their peak low availability, their least available, which is the start of next fiscal year. And so I took that into consideration.
What with the 8, backlog looks like steady through early fall. Key personnel is committed to remaining to serve on the contract, even though the workload is relatively high at the beginning of the year. So what would they make?
I gave them a 7. I think I was saying similar comments to you guys. We talked about, we do have backup and additional support staff needed. Their proactive approach to workload management and scheduling. I gave them a 7. So what do we have?
So that was 3 7s and an 8.
So 7.
7 is your consensus?
Mm-hmm. Okay. And C squared. Category 1.
Category 1, firm and professional personnel. I went with a 9, let's say a 29. It seems like they hit all the big points. Some of the smaller evaluation of bridges were missing. He did mention erosion and sediment control and asphalt class certifications. MOT obviously, and then just some of the special inspections were not mentioned. So 29.
Went with a 32. Really, it seemed that knowing the people from the current contract, who they listed, their understanding of what we are asking for. I think what they presented was adequate for me to give them 32.
Rhonda?
Or C squared, correct?
Mhm,
That's
C
C
squared.
squared. Okay, that's what with the 32. Have a lot of experience with county and other local agencies. Looks like they've been providing services to the county since 2001, which is incredible. Very qualified staff. And the subs provide redundant and overlapping services with the prime or with each other. So it looks like a very strong team.
And I had similar comments, even working with Hillsborough County since 2001, so they know a lot of our services. They have a strong staff. I gave them a score of 33. He also mentioned other staff in other areas of engineering that they have available if needed. Basically, their extended teams are pretty strong as well. Anyway, I give them 33.
So 29, 32, 32, and 33.
So 32.
32 is your consensus?
Okay, category 2.
Experience with projects of similar size and type. I gave them a 25. They have some larger projects. They have some continuing services. mentions, and they also discuss geotech as well as pavement evaluation. Countywide, whole county, but countywide pavement evaluations, and so I went with a 25.
I had a pretty similar to past category one, knowing that their experience is directly with us, and that they've had years of experience doing work order contracts with Hillsborough County. 33 was the number from my side.
Rhonda?
So I went with the 32, similar reasons as Kevin, lots of local and relevant projects, which included all the scope, all the services contained in the scope.
I gave him 32, similar comments that everybody else has already mentioned. You know, miscellaneous contracts, like with Hillsborough County as well, so I give him 32. So what is that?
So 32, 32, 33, and 5.
So 32,
32.
okay with that?
32 is your consensus?
Mm-hmm. Okay, category 3. Right.
Ability to meet schedule and budget requirements, 16. Again, just nothing that really stands out as far as superior understanding, but they do have a good understanding of the scope. 16.
Oh, 17, or just on the other side of that, and also experience working with the firm. So they thought they provided enough to show that they had an understanding, were able to respond to it, and I know what they've done in the past has been. Yeah, same.
Rhonda?
With the 16, submittal describes how the schedule and budget is managed. Had a little trouble finding how personnel was assigned on the 16.
And on this category, I gave him an 18. We talked about internal deadlines, align with county milestones, critical. Schedule tracking, how they would do that, making sure, you know, scopes are clear. Funding availability, internal tracks, they mentioned all of that, so I gave them 18.
16, 16, 17, and 18.
17?
17.
Yes.
17 is your consensus?
Yes. Okay, next category 4.
Recent current projected workload, I gave them an 8. They do mention backup staffing, which is something that I kind of harped on for this. But yeah, so 8.
Okay, good.
Got a 10. Really, I felt like they had enough there and knowledge of who was on their team. So have a little deeper level of understanding of what the personnel is that they put on there. That's the reason.
Level 9, the graphic they provided indicates more than adequate capacity and availability for this work.
And I gave them an 8. About handling simultaneous tasks at one time and being able to add additional personnel if needed. So what is it?
That is 8, 8, 9, 10.
9.
9 is your consensus?
Mm-hmm. Okay, next consultant, Nova.
We're into Nova, the firm and its professional personnel. I gave them a 22. Seemed like they hit most of the major Major requirements, I almost want to research this again, but I didn't see any mention of traffic control in their report at all. Which is kind of a big deal. I assume that they have somebody, but they didn't mention it like at all. And then some of the special inspections were lacking, but they did have like asbestos, lead, but so I went with it at 22.
So I'm with a 28 on this one, and my notes were, for us, similar to your asbestos and lead. I think, and it's being critical, but some proposals or qualifications that get submitted are specific for some reason or another. And so I didn't know that that had any place in pavement testing. So a little bit of a knock on that, but I think that's what did it for me.
Rhonda?
Okay, with the 20 on this one, the intro letter mentions that the office is at Tampa, but it looks like the IRA and GPR are going to be coordinated at the Georgia office, which may not provide adequate response times for urgent tasks. And it also seems like their sub that would provide GPR is out of state. So let me know if I missed anything there with them. Okay, yeah.
This is category.
Yeah, category.
Yeah, my score is 28 on it. I had similar comments to everyone. We talked about, we do have a Tampa office. They do have subs, quite a few subs. But yeah, my score was 28, and that their background and experience. Some personnel they didn't list in the number of years. I don't know if I missed it. The number of years experiences in the industry, but some they did, some they didn't. But yeah, so my score is 28. What do we have?
We had 20, 22, and 2 20 minutes.
Go with 25 or 26? Yes.
0.
25, 26. Okay, with the higher 26.
26.
26?
Sure.
Okay, 26.
26, you mentioned.
Mhm. Okay, next category 2.
Next category is experience with projects of similar size and type. I went with a 27. Of the projects listed, they were mostly continuing services or projects that had multiple locations. Some of them were a little bit smaller, but they had some larger projects on there. So as far as capacity goes, it seemed like they were had similar size projects.
I ended up going with a 26 on this one. It just seemed a couple of the projects listed weren't specific to what we're looking for, so I had a little bit of a lacking, not exceptional on that.
Rhonda?
We ended up going with a 20 on this one. The example projects appeared to be mostly for vertical construction. And the project descriptions did not clearly state the specific services that were provided on these projects. It was just more description of what the project was.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I can do that too. This category, my score was a 25. I don't know if I miscounted, but most firms presented 5 examples. I only saw 4. Again, the different types of projects. I gave them 25.
We are right there. We asked for
5.
Up to five?
Up to
Was it up to
five.
five?
It was up to
So they
five.
did,
They submitted four.
submit four.
Mhm.
I went back and tried to count. And then I kept coming up with 4, so.
But yeah, so I gave them a 25.
Okay, so we had a 20, 25, 26, and 27.
What was it, 20, what was it,
20.
20?
20,
20? Oh,
25, 26, and 27. Yeah, so
that's the range. 25? Yeah, let's do 25. Yeah, I like that.
25 is your contingent.
Okay, category 3.
category 3 is ability to meet schedule and budget requirements. Seemed like they had a good grasp of everything, but again, just not a superior, there's nothing that stood out for me. So I gave them a 16.
Okay.
Same. So I had a 16 for Nova on category 3. Votes are virtually the same. So I thought they were good, but they weren't exceptional.
Nothing exceptional.
Okay, Rhonda?
I went with a 14 on this one. There was a commitment to schedule and budget, but I couldn't find a clear statement as to how project and budget schedules would be held.
And my score is a 15 on this one. We talked about on time and budget, a lot of elaboration, but a hands-on management approach. I gave him a 15.
14, 15, 16, and 16.
So we either do 15 or 16. Okay, deal. I want. Okay. Okay, so 15, 16, we will keep up the tradition, we'll vote higher on 16.
Agree with that.
So 16 is your consensus?
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, category 4.
Recent, current, and projected workloads. Seem like they have adequate time and available personnel. No mention of backup staffing for unforeseen circumstances, so I went with a 7.
Category 4 for no backup and otherwise adequate.
Rhonda?
I also went with an 8. They showed their current utilization at 63%. They had a unique staffing allocation table and projected workload chart. Yeah, that's that. So
Yeah, I gave him an 8 also. Same similar comments. 63% utilization, like the QAQC had the highest utilization. But other than that, I gave him a score 8.
That's 3 8s and a 7.
So 8 is a consensus.
No.
No, 3 8s. Oh, I was like, I missed it.
I said a 7 and I'm sticking to it. And I'm dying this hill.
So 8 is your consensus?
Yeah, 8. Okay. And the last
Tierra,
firm
that's
here.
what's Tierra.
Category 1.
The 20 for the firm and its professional services. I didn't see anything really about the pavement design aspect. They were missing some of the certifications. Special inspections were lacking, and then they mentioned Cornerstone barricades as their traffic control sub, but then I didn't see anything other than just the fact that Cornerstone barricades is on there. I didn't see any resumes or any real qualifications to their subs. So I went with the 20.
I went with a much higher 34. So I did see the pavement, so it listed a couple times in, right in the beginning. Twice it says who it's going to be, so it's not their staff, but it's actually from AECOM. So it gives a full resume on the AECOM and sharing knowledge with you, Brad.
Yeah, very good.
AECOM has also been on staff with us for this contract as well.
And I understand that somebody, I mean, it's like payment design is payment design, like it's not that
No, I
rare.
figured I'd share it.
But,
just in case.
yeah, no.
Yeah, so I felt like they had.
It's not like a niche thing.
Personnel.
Yeah. Okay.
And Rhonda?
So I went with the 33. Their partners include AECOM and ICCIMS, who has supported the countywide pavement inspections, so some good knowledge in the background there. And they seem to have outstanding key personnel.
Okay. I gave them on 33 as well. They've been serving Hillsborough County since 20. Geotechnical engineering services, and also because of the supplement, the subs, like AECOM, ICCIMS, one of the ones that we use. And they have a lot of experience with local government and state government, so. And the staff has a lot of experience. I gave them a 33.
I am the outlier, but, we had 34, 33, 33. 20.
Were you okay with coming up?
Definitely, yeah, going down.
So 33?
33.
Okay.
33 is your consensus?
Yes. Okay, category 2.
Category 2, projects of similar size and type. For contract type, large projects, only one real continuing services project. I went with a 21.
With a 30 on this one, the local part of it, I think had a big impact for me. And I know that personnel that have done response in the past has also shown a little bit, but keeping it to what was submitted. They have the DOT materials testing. Their sub-consultant, AECOM, has the current Hillsborough, so with those same staff members being listed as being support for sub-consultant, that had a big impact for me. So that kind of was a secondary, non-listed, not their firm specifically, but then otherwise they had a big bend road widening for Hillsborough, Lithia Pinecrest for Hillsborough, and then another one for local county agency. So I thought that those were reasons enough to give them that score.
I went with a 33 on this one. All of the example projects were relevant to the scope, and the prime was the lead, but geotech on all of it. 33.
I give them a score of 30. And some of the comments about the type of projects that they presented, what we're looking for. I gave them a score of 30. So what do we have?
I actually be willing to go up rather than down.
Okay.
So, yeah, 33, 30, 30, and then
31,
21.
31, 32.
Never either one of those.
Okay. I'm okay with going up to the top of that 30. So we can do, what is the trend? 32.
That was 32 the consensus?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, category 3.
So we are on schedule and budget requirements. Again, good understanding, good approach. Nothing superior. I said 16.
At 18, basically because of personnel, people, projects. So for me, it was 18.
I went with the 19. That they had a good description of how staff are assigned to task assignments, seem to have a good understanding of the process, and what I really liked was the commitment to meet response time set by the county.
That's the reason I gave them a 20.
Okay.
I think they had the most, as far as, yeah, the most detailed as far as understanding of the task, orders, assigning personnel, all of it together, communication with the county, good understanding of our contracting processes, understanding our county schedules and budget controls. I gave them 20.
16, 18, 19, 20.
19. 19.
Or 19 is your consensus?
And last category,
Category last firm, recent current projected workloads, all their adequate staffing, availability, and they included a backup point of contact and the ability to bring in staff from other offices. I gave them a 10.
Also gave them a 10. They didn't only show workload, but percent availability and backup staffing.
I went with a 9. The graphics in the narrative showing projected workload and staff availability is clear, indicates there's adequate resources in place to perform this scope of service.
and I gave them 9. Some other comment.
9, 9, 10, 10.
So what do we normally do?
We're gonna go with a 10.
So 10 is your
Yeah.
consensus?
Yeah.
Okay, so, we go back through and I'm gonna recap, with your confirmation and then, I'll give the bonus points at this as well. So starting with Ardeman. For criteria 1, you had a consensus of 27. Criteria 2, consensus of 27. Criteria 3, consensus of 17. Criteria 4, consensus of 7. Is everyone in agreement with those scores?
Yes.
Okay, so they did receive 5 DMDWBE bonus points, 5 past performance points, as well as 5 volume of work points, for a grand total of 93 total points. For Arena Engineering, criteria 1, we have a consensus of 31. Criteria 2, consensus of 33. Criteria 3, consensus of 18. Criteria 4, consensus of 9. Everyone in agreement with those scores?
Yes.
And they did receive 6 DMDWBE participation points, 5 past performance points, and 3 volume of work points, for a total of 105 total points. Okay, environmental and geotechnical specialists, Inc. Criteria 1, we had a consensus of 28. Criteria 2, consensus of 27. Criteria 3, consensus of 17. Criteria 4, consensus of 6. Is everyone in agreement with those scores?
Yes.
Okay, they received 5 DMDWBE points, 3 past performance points, 5 volume of work points, for a total of 91 points. For Madrid Engineering, criteria 1, you had a consensus of 28. Criteria 2, consensus of 24. Criteria 3, consensus of 17. Criteria 4, consensus of 7. Is everyone in agreement with those scores?
Yes.
They received 6 DMDWBE points, 3 past performance points, and 5 volume of work points, for a total of 90 points. MC squared. Criteria 1, we had a consensus of 32. Criteria 2, consensus of 32. Criteria 3, consensus of 17. Criteria 4, consensus of 9. Is everyone in agreement with those scores?
Yes.
They did receive 5 DMDWBE points, 5 past performance points, and 0 volume of work points, for a total of 100 points. For Nova Engineering and Environmental, criteria 1, we had a consensus of 26. Criteria 2, consensus of 25. Criteria 3, consensus of 16. Criteria 4, consensus of 8. Is everyone in agreement with those scores?
Yes.
They received 0 DMDWBE points, 3 past performance points, and 4 volume of work points, for a total of 82 points. For Tierra Inc., criteria 1 had a consensus of 33, criteria 2 consensus of 32, criteria 3 consensus of 19, criteria 4 consensus of 10. Is everyone in agreement with those scores?
Yes.
They received 5 DMDWBE points, 5 past performance points, and 5 volume of work points, for a total of 109 points. So, with that, the ranking is as follows. Sierra ranked number 1 with 109 points. Arena Engineering ranked number 2 with 105 points. MC Squared ranked number 3 with 100 points. Artiman and Associates ranked number 4 with 93 points. Environmental and Geotechnical Specialist ranked number 5 with 91 points. Madrid Engineering ranked number 6 with 90 points. And Nova Engineering ranked number 7 with 82 points. So with that, the committee now needs to decide if you would like to move forward with recommending award to how many contracts again? 3, the top 3, or is there any idea or request you want to have oral presentations, or move to directly to recommend an award?
I think to recommend awarding to the top 3 ranked consultants.
Okay, is that consensus of the committee?
Yes.
Okay, so with that, the committee and department has decided that the county will recommend, move towards recommending award to the top 3 highest ranked firms. With that, we will post a notice of intent to recommend award once we do receive the written recommendation summary from the committee chair. Once that recommendation is posted, it will be posted in Bonfire. There will be a 5-day protest period. If no protest is received, then we will then take an item to the board recommending the selection of the top 3 ranked firm, as well as the approval to negotiate with those firms. At the conclusion of negotiations, the department will then take the negotiated agreements to the board for award, at which point then the contracts will be put in place. I want to just remind you all that the cone of silence is still in effect until the expiration of that protest period, once the notice of intent to recommend award is posted. So just keep that in mind. There is still to be no contact with any of the proposers in regards to this project. Now, if you're working with them on another project or a current contract, you can continue to talk about that and work with them on that. But this project here, the cone of silence, is still in effect. So please do not communicate with those firms and the firms as well. Please do not reach out to any of the committee members regarding this project. So with that, I want to thank all of you committee members for your time and attention to this project. I want to thank the proposers for your time and attention to proposing on this project. And that's going to conclude our evaluation committee meeting for RPS 25-00209, the Pavement Engineering Subsurface Investigation and Inspection Services. Thank you all again for your time today.